Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I have an absolute gem of a card trick, so let's get straight into it. So, right here, we have 2 packs of playing cards. If I had a spectator here with me, I would allow them to choose either deck that they would like. Let's say for this example, let's say they want to go with the red deck. We can take this bluish, navyish, whatever you want to call it. We can set it off to the side, leaving it in full view the entire time. And if we had other spectators, someone else can hold on to it for safekeeping as well, for the entire duration of the trick. But nonetheless, we have the deck here. We'll take it out of the box. I'll hand it to the spectator and let them shuffle as much as he or she would like. And while they're shuffling, I'm going to instruct them to think of any card in the deck. And this is truly a 100% free choice. Now, obviously, I don't have a spectator here with me, so just to keep this fair, let's go ahead and cut to a random card here. In this case, we have the 9 of clubs. But again, this does not happen in a real performance. In a real performance, the spectator would be shuffling the cards in their own hands. And while they're shuffling, they're going to think of the card, and then they'll say it out loud once they're happy. So in this case, all right, Derek, I want the 9 of clubs. Does that make sense? All right. And then once they're satisfied, then we can begin. I'll take the deck back. And you know what, matter of fact, let's say now. They want to shuffle it one more time. They want to ruin my trick. They really want to mess me up. So I'll take it back. And they'll shuffle one more time. And then we can take the card out of the pack once they're happy. Alright. Let's see here. Where is the card in this deck specifically? I might have passed it. I must have passed it. I'm sorry. 9 of clubs, we said? No, wait, was that it? 8 of spades, 8 of clubs? Wait. I must have... Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. All right, there we go. 9 of clubs. All right, so... And you know what? Actually, matter of fact, let's just give the cards here some cuts to keep things honest, because I did have to look through the cards, and I don't want you to think that I'm trying to memorize anything. Not that that really makes a difference for this trick, but let's just promote fairness. So, we have the 9 of clubs. Again, this could have been any card. At this point, I'm going to have the spectator insert the card back into the deck anywhere that they would like in the middle. It does not matter. And I'm going to just have them leave it sticking out a little bit, though, so we don't lose its spot. So, let's say they want to... They have a free choice here again, by the way. There's no force. Let's say they place it... Let's say they want to place it right here. At this point, I'd give them the opportunity to change their mind. Do you want to move it further up? Do you want to move it further down? Or are you content with where it is? They say, you know what? No. I do want to place it further. Let's move it a little, just a couple cards down. I'm going to put it right here. All right, are you happy now? You can change it again if you want. No, you're happy there. Okay, cool. So, let's think about the situation real quick. A deck was chosen at random. The spectator then shuffled it up in its entirety while freely thinking of any card, in this case, the 9 of clubs. Which, matter of fact, I apologize, I should have told you to put that in face up so we don't, again, further lose its position. I ended up losing the card once, it was not fun, so leave it face up. So, after they thought of said card, they placed it back into the deck at a completely random point. All of those things brought us to this very specific point in time, which, let's analyze it a little bit further now. It goes without saying that this 9 of clubs is going to be adjacent to 2 cards in the deck. But what 2 cards would those be? Let's take a look. In this case, it looks like we have the Jack of spades. And then what else? We have the Ace of clubs, it looks like. Yes, alright, so this 9 of clubs was placed between the Ace of clubs and the Jack of spades. So what? So what? Oh, big whoop, a big deal. Why does this matter? Let me show you why it matters. Over here, this deck has been sitting in full view the entire time. Again, if someone was here, someone could have been holding on to this. Me as the magician, I would not touch this deck. I would allow the spectator themselves to take the cards out of the box. And I would allow them they deal the cards. And what I'm going to have them do here is deal the cards one by one, face up. And what I want them to do is stop dealing when they see one of these 3 cards. So, they're going to deal. I'm going to go slow so I don't miss it. But for the video, I'll speed it up so you guys don't have to be bored watching me deal cards. Okay, boom. Alright, we've hit our first card. It took about maybe 5/6 of the deck. It's like 80% of the deck that's gone, maybe even more. But we have the Ace of Clubs, which ironically is the first card in this sequence. That could be a coincidence. That's a 1 out of 3 chance for, at that point. But here is what the purpose of all of this was. I wanted to see if we could take an untouched deck of cards and a randomized shuffled deck of cards to coincide with one another. Wouldn't it be a miracle if this Ace of Clubs was followed by the 9 of Clubs? And furthermore followed by the Jack of Spades, placing the thought of card in between the same 2 random cards as the shuffled deck. I think we can agree that would be a miracle. Again, I'm not touching the card. The spectator's doing all the dealing. If they deal that next card, they can see the 9 of Clubs. But again, that can just happen. Is it in between? Is the Jack of Spades the next card? They deal, and they can see the Jack of Spades, their freely thought of card, in between the same 2 random cards, again, from a shuffled deck in play. And if the spectator wants at this point, they can go through the rest of these cards. There's nothing to find, nothing to see. And that is the trick. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to learn how to do it, stick around for the tutorial. Alright guys, let's get ready to learn this amazing card trick that you just saw. Overall, I wouldn't say that this trick is super difficult to perform from a skill level perspective. I mean, don't get me wrong, there is some sleight of hand involved, but the moves are fairly easy to execute with just a little bit of practice. It's nothing super knuckle busting or anything like that. Where this trick starts to get a little complex, at least in my opinion, is the mental aspect of it. You're gonna have to do some mental gymnastics here. Essentially, you have to be good at just performing, being able to talk through your actions. Audience management is also gonna play a big part here, so I'll give you more details on that as we progress throughout this tutorial, alright? So, here's what you're going to need to perform this trick. 2 decks of cards, that's it. You have those 2 things, that's a good starting point, alright? For starters, 1 deck is going to be completely unprepared. There is no setup. There's no gimmicks, no anything. This is a completely unset up deck of cards. The other deck is where the other deck is where the shenanigans are, alright? For this trick, and this is the main premise that this trick relies on, this deck is going to be set up in a memorized card stack. So I have my deck set up in what's known as the Mnemonica card stack, but any deck stack will work for this trick so long as you have it memorized inside and out. Now, if you're a beginner and this concept is completely new to you, I'm stuttering like a mother right now. If this concept is completely new to you, this is known as memorized deck, or mem deck for short. And it's exactly what it sounds like. There is no secret here. You legitimately have to dedicate time to memorize the position of every single card in your deck. So you're going to choose a stack. Hell, you can create your own stack if you want, shuffle a deck of cards, and that's going to be your stack. And you need to commit the time to memorize every single card. We're obviously not going to go over that in this video, but do some research. You can find a lot of different techniques in order to memorize a deck of cards. So let me just demonstrate this for you if you're not familiar with this. Let's say I were to cut the cards right here at the King of Clubs. I know this is the 18th card in my deck stack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, right? And then I know the 19th card is the 2 of Diamonds, so that card's going to follow. I know the 20th card is the Jack of Hearts, so that card's going to follow. I know the 21st card is the 3 of Spades, so that card's going to follow. I know the 22nd card is the 8 of Spades, so that card's going to follow. So on and so forth. I legitimately have the deck memorized. That is the main concept that this trick relies on. If you're not familiar or you're not comfortable with this already, you're going to have to, again, learn how to work with a mem deck before performing this trick. Once you are comfortable with mem deck, come back to this video and then give this trick a shot, all right? So, one deck is stacked in your favorite deck stack. Again, I'm using Mnemonica, but any deck stack works just fine. So, you're going to take both decks, place them in their respective tuck cases, and then you are ready to perform. Alright guys, so to start, you are going to prompt the spectator to choose one of the two decks. But what you're secretly doing here is a technique known as equivoque, or better known as Magician's Choice, meaning you are controlling the outcome of the spectator's decisions. Essentially, regardless of what the spectator picks, you are going to end up in a situation where you are using the red deck or the unprepared deck for the trick, and the stacked deck is the one that's going to be off to the side, or someone's holding on to it, whatever the case may be. And here is how we get to that point. Let's start off with the first scenario. They choose the red deck, or again, the unprepared deck. If they choose the deck that's unprepared, you say, all right, great, we'll use this one. We'll set this one off to the side. We don't need it right now. Matter of fact, you want to hold on to it? Does someone else want to hold it? It makes sense logistically, right? We're using the deck that was chosen, and we're putting this deck kind of out of sight and out of mind. So they chose this. It makes sense. Now, if they choose the stacked deck, choose the deck. The blue one? Okay, here, hold on to that for me, all right? Just hold on to that. Make sure I don't get anywhere near that, all right? Perfect. So, we can take this deck right here, start shuffling, and then, matter of fact, you can shuffle it again. Just make sure I don't get near that deck. It still works. It still makes sense because they are choosing this deck in this case, and you're handing it to them. Blue? Okay, here, take this. Make sure I don't get anywhere near it. See how both sides make sense if you arrive to it. So, don't worry. Again, when it comes to spectators, they don't know. They don't know the follow-up to what you do or what you're going to say. So you can guide them anywhere that you want them to be. So one more time, choose a deck. This one? All right, we'll use this. We'll put this off to the side for now. Matter of fact, you want to hold on to it? Yeah, okay, cool. Choose a deck. The blue one? Okay, here, take that, hold on to it. Make sure I don't get anywhere near it, all right? Perfect. So, we'll take these cards here. We'll give them a little shuffle. Matter of fact, you can shuffle these as well if you'd like. See, either way, it works. So, let's move on. We'll just put this here so it's not off camera. The spectator now is going to have the unprepared deck in their hands, and they can truly shuffle these as much as they would like. It does not matter. Now, while they're shuffling the deck, they can freely think of any card in the deck. This is a 100% free choice. There is no force. This is where the mental gymnastics start to come in. What you are going to do is you are going to take the card that they're thinking of, or that they say out loud, and you are going to recall where that card falls in your deck stack. Once you have that, you then need to recall what cards fall on either side of that card. So let me give you an example. Let's say the card that the spectator is thinking of is the 7 of Clubs. I know in my deck stack, the 7 of Clubs is the 47th card down, okay? So, I need to, so they say 7 of Clubs, so I'm thinking in my head, okay, the 7 of Clubs is the 47th card in my stack. I now need to recall what card comes before that, so the 46th card in my stack, and what card comes after that, the 48th card in my stack. And this is why it gets tricky, because yeah, if you haven't memorized, that's not a problem. It's just the fact that you have to try to talk and patter through the trick as you're mentally doing this, which that's where it can get a little bit tricky. Even I struggle with it sometimes. It's not the easiest thing to do. So my best advice there is simply try to let them really encourage them to shuffle the cards as much as they want even after they name a card, so it gives you time to do the mental work that you have to do. Okay? So for this example, again, we have the 7 of clubs. I know it's the 47th card in Mnemonica. So if I do my calculations, or again, just recalling, I know that the 46th card in my stack is the Queen of Diamonds. So the Queen of Diamonds would come before the 7 of clubs. 47 and then 48. I know that the 48th card in my stack would be, it's actually another queen, it would be the Queen of Spades. So when I spread through the deck to, take out their thought of card, I'm secretly looking for the 2 cards on either side. Okay, does that make sense? Let's go through another example. Let's say we cut to this card right here. In this case, we have the 10 of hearts. So while they're shuffling, they say the 10 of hearts. I'm going to think to myself, okay, the 10 of hearts is the 38th card in my stack. So now I need to know the cards on either side. So I also need to know what the 37th card is, and I need to know what the 39th card is. So I'll say in my head, okay, I know that the 37th card in my deck stack is the 7 of spades. I know that the 39th card in my stack is the is the ace of diamonds. So when I go through to take out their thought of 10 of hearts, I'm secretly going to be looking for the 7 of spades and the ace of diamonds. All right? One more time, I'll give you one more example, and this will be the final example. This will be the one that I carry on the rest of the tutorial with, okay? So, let's say the spectator's shuffling, and the spectator is thinking of the king of clubs, okay? So, in my mind, I'm going to be thinking to myself while they shuffle, okay, the king of clubs is the 18th card down in my stack. So, I need to know what the 17th card is and what the 19th card is as well. So, I know the 17th card down would be the 9 of hearts. And then I know that the 19th card would be the 2 of diamonds. So while I'm taking out their thought of the king of clubs, while I'm taking out their thought of king of clubs, I'm secretly going to be looking for that 9 of hearts and that, what did we say? It was 2 of diamonds. 9 of hearts and the 2 of diamonds. Now, here's my tip. My brain tends to get a little bit overloaded with this process. So rather than trying to look for 3 cards at the same time, I actually ignore the thought of cards. So I can only focus on my two cards on either side that I need to look for. I don't even care about the thought of card. I'll intentionally pass it and come back to it later, which is completely normal. People do that all the time, so there's no reason to overthink this or think people will be suspicious of this, because that's normal. How many times do you look for a card? Like while you're playing a card game, you need to take a card out of the deck or something, and someone wait, I didn't see it, I have to go back. It happens all the time, so don't overthink this. This is fine. I ignore the king of clubs for now, and I'm just strictly looking for my two cards on either side. Again, in this case, we're looking for the king of clubs is 18, so the 17th card, we said 9 of hearts, and then the 19th card is the 2 of diamonds. It doesn't matter which one you see first, but essentially, you're going to look for both of those cards at the same time, and you're going to cull them to the top of the deck. I'm not going to go over the spread cull in depth in this video, because again, it's a move that requires its own video and it requires a decent amount of time to practice, so you're going to have to do your research on the spread cull if you're not familiar with it already. But here, I start spreading through. Again, we're looking for the 9 of hearts and the 2 of diamonds. Doesn't matter which one comes up first. I see the 9 of hearts in this case. So I'm going to spread the cards to myself. So I'm going to have the faces slightly tilted toward me so the spectators can't fully see the faces. Once I see the first card that I need, or in this case the 9 of hearts, I'm going to cull the card. So a brief overview on the spread cull is once you see the card, you're going to take the card above it and you're going to line it up with that card, just like this. And then you're going to take your fingers on the bottom and you're going to pull that 9 of hearts underneath the spread till it separates like this. So now you can see I actually have the cards separated from the rest of the spread. Here, I'll shuffle it back. I'll shuffle it back in. So, I spread to myself. I see the 9 of hearts. That's one of the cards I need. I'm going to line up. Again, the spectator's not going to see you do this lineup. And then you're going to pull the card underneath the spread. Once it separates, you're going to keep spreading. Now, as I spread, now the spectators can see the faces, but that's okay. You can say, all right, what did we say again? We said King of Clubs. In this case, I happen to see the King of Clubs. Even if I do see it, I'll just ignore it half the time. I'll just push it past. And now I'm looking for my other card. Now I see the 2 of diamonds. So again, I'm not going to go in depth with this. But if you learn how to do spread call, now it's actually easier. Now you just pull that card underneath the spread as well. Just like this. With the 9. So both cards now are now loose underneath the spread. You just keep spreading and be like, wait, did I miss it? I'm sorry, I must have missed it. And when you square up, you basically bring both of those cards to the top of the deck in secrecy. Okay? And that's all it is. And then essentially all you have to do is go back into the deck and be like, oh, I must have missed it. Wait, where is it? What was it? Oh, here it is, the King of Clubs. And sometimes what I'll even throw in there when I'm doing this for people, I'll say, I'm not missing the King of Clubs in this deck, am I? I'm like, that would be bad. And then, find it and be like, okay, oh, thank God. I thought I was missing it for a second. Again, just put on an act. This is good audience management, good performance skills, all right? So, to the spectator, it looks like all you've done is just take the card out of the deck. You've done nothing. But you've actually secretly moved the cards that are adjacent to their card in your stack to the top of the deck. So, at full speed, I'll show you what this looks like. So at speed, we probably go something like this. So, all right. So your card was the king. So you said the King of Clubs. All right. We'll just take the King of Clubs out of the deck here. Let's see. King of Clubs. King of Clubs here. Let's see. King of Clubs. Crap. Did I go past it? I might have went past it. I'm sorry. That's the King of Spades. Am I missing? I'm not missing the King of Clubs in this deck, am I? Oh wait, no. Wait, I see it. I apologize. Okay, there it is. Whew. I thought I was missing the King of Clubs for a second. So it looks like you're just going through. You innocently pass it, and all you do is secretly move the 2 cards that you need to the top of the deck. All right. All right. So from here, you're going to take one of these 2 cards, and you're going to transfer it from the top of the deck to the bottom of the deck, and it's extremely straightforward. All you're going to do is lift up on this top card to catch a thumb break. You're going to take half the cards below the break, just cut it to the top while maintaining that break, just as so. Then you're going to take that remaining half below the break and cut it to the top. So all you've done is just move one card from the top to the bottom. That's it. So one's on the bottom, and then the other one is still chilling here on top as I fail to flip over the card. Try to get too fancy, and look what I get. So, one card's on top, one card's on bottom, which is exactly where you want to be. You can now spread the deck out, and you're going to prompt them to take their card and insert it anywhere in the deck. Here's a pro tip, though. Emphasize the middle of the deck. So you can be like, all right, just take your card, place it anywhere you like in the middle of the deck. So I'm not like screaming middle. I'm not making it weird to the point where it's suspicious. I just put a slight emphasis on the middle, and I even gesture my hands toward the center of the deck if I'm doing this for a real person. I'm trying to psychologically force them to place the card in this region of the deck. Now, they do have a free choice. If they want to place it all the way near the top here, they can. If they want to place it all the way near the bottom here, they can do that as well. The problem is, if they do this, there's going to be a slight discrepancy that you have to clean up later, and we'll talk about that in just a few moments. For now, let's just assume that they place it toward the middle like you want them to. You're going to square up the cards. And here's the situation. Their cards in the middle, surrounded by random cards, and your target cards are on the top and on the bottom. All you have to do is reposition. You're going to essentially take the top half of the deck and the bottom half of the deck and switch them. You're going to cut them, and that is how you get their card in between your two target cards. But how do you do it? You do it as follows. You're going to do it under the guise of flipping over their card. So the motivation for this is that. You're just going to be like, oh, by the way, I wanted this card face up. I lost it in the middle one time. I don't want to lose its spot again. And that's it. That's the move right there. So all that's happening here, if we take a closer look at this, again, one's on the bottom, one's on the top. This card is in the middle. You're just spreading the top half of the deck over, flipping it over, grabbing the selected card, flipping the hand back over, taking the half, putting it back on top. So to the spectator, it looks like you just flipped over the card and that's all you did. But you secretly switched the two halves around, which repositioned their card right in between your two target cards. And that's it. The move is extremely easy. Practice it right now. You'll get it down in literally less than 5 minutes. I promise you. The key here, though, is, again, you want to have the motivation to do this and also performing it confidently. Do this calm, cool, and collected. No one's going to question you. If you start acting weird when you do this, you're going to give people a reason to be suspicious. But don't. Just have them insert it in. And another tip I can give you here is don't just go into the move immediately. I like to put the deck off to the side and start recapping the trick. This allows for some nice time misdirection. They kind of forget about this for a split second. You then, in the middle of talking, seemingly come back to it as an afterthought, like you forgot. You didn't actually, you're just pretending. Like, oh, by the way, I wanted you to have this face up. I apologize. And, in the performance, I used I lost it once. I don't want to lose its position again, so I'm going to turn it over. You don't need to even get that deep into it if you don't want to. You can straight up just say, I meant to tell you to put it face up, and that's it. Don't give any further detail. That's all you need. Again, if you just do that, do it with confidence, no one's going to question you. They're just going to keep following along with everything you're saying and everything you're doing. So I set the deck off to the side for the time misdirection. I'll be like, all right, so you could have thought of any card in the deck, from a shuffled deck, mind you. That deck was mixed up in its entirety. Yes, you agree? Perfect. You then took that card, you placed it anywhere in the deck, and there's no way any of us could have known how you were going to shuffle the deck, what card you were going to think of, or where you were going to place it, which, matter of fact, it's face down. I apologize. I wanted you to put that face up, by the way. And we are now in this position. We have been brought to this very specific one. Blah, 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 blah. You get the idea. So, that's it. Just nice and confidently, that's all you have to do to reposition the card to where you need it. And from there, the trick is essentially over, because now, again, the card is successfully repositioned where you needed it. But, very, very quickly, let's look at what happens in the event that they place the card toward the top or toward the bottom. I want to show you this discrepancy that I'm talking about. Let's say they place the card all the way up here. Watch this carefully. Let's say I place the deck like this. Look at this visual. Okay? Now watch. If I perform the move, look at this visual. Because the halves of the deck are not even, that card just went from the top of the deck to like all the way to the bottom of the deck. So this becomes apparent that you moved this card. You don't want this. This doesn't look good. So, to avoid this, and I will be honest, if in this situation, the move is still going to be discrepant, but it doesn't look as bad. So let me show you. What you're going to do in this case, let's say they put it right there near the top. You're still going to execute the move as normal. You're not going to change anything. But once you execute the move, you're immediately going to flip the deck over. Immediately. Because now look. Now, yes, this is at the bottom of the deck, but because the deck is flipped over, visually, it's still near the top, which is where it just was. So this will give the illusion that, again, you just flipped over the card. You didn't do anything else. This is a big difference than this. Can we agree on that? So same thing. Let's take a look at if they put it near the bottom of the deck. We'll just put it right all the way down here. Okay? So watch. I'm going to perform the move with the flip. Here we go. So I would say, oh yeah, I wanted this face up. I apologize. See, again, it started near the bottom, and now it's still visually at the bottom. So it doesn't look like you did anything. It just looks like you flipped the card over. Whereas if I just left it here, now you can clearly see that was at the bottom. Now it's at the top. What is that about? That looks really weird. So, in the event that they put the card near the edges of the deck, just make sure after you execute that move, flip the deck over immediately. Still a little discrepant, yes, but it's not bad, and I promise you, I've been in this situation many times. It flies over everybody's head. So at this point, all you're left to do is simply spread the cards out. And this is another reason why it's important too, because now look, they placed it near the bottom, and when you spread it out, it's still inserted near the bottom. Whereas if you spread it out facing down now, it would be near the top when they put it near the bottom, but that's not going to make sense to them. Like, it's clear that you moved it. So just remember that flip if they put it toward the edges. Nevertheless, all that's left to do is go through the cards, see what cards are adjacent to it. And there's one small thing you're going to want to consider here, and it's the orientation of these two cards. Because obviously, there's a chance it can be like this, or these two cards might even be like this. And it does make a very slight difference. I'll show you right now. So in this case, we were in this position. I know that 9 of Hearts would come first. It's 17, 18, 19. In the performance, I'll have to double check the video, but I think I think I actually left it like this, where I have it left to right, where I can read it, but you wanna have it to the spectator. You wanna have it for the spectators left to right, just like this. Because spectators, everyone that obviously reads left to right. So essentially what happens is if this is 17, this is 18, this is 19. If the first card that you need, in this case the 9 of Hearts, is the bottom most card, so not at the top, just make sure you have it spread out this way so that the spectator's reading it left to right. When they deal through the cards, again, the deck is in its stack, so naturally, once the 9 of Hearts comes up, again, I'll just spread through to save some time. 9 of Hearts, King of Clubs, 2 of Diamonds. 9 of Hearts, so they read left to right, it comes out in the same order. Theoretically, if they were flip-flopped, it doesn't matter, it just doesn't look as good, so you want it to be in the same exact order, okay? But of course, what happens if they are flip-flopped? What if we ended up in a situation where the 9 of Hearts was here and the 2 of Diamonds was here? It does not matter. In this case, just don't spread it left to right. In this case, leave it. Leave it like this. So you see now, if you read it left to right, it's still 9 of Hearts, King of Clubs, 2 of Diamonds. The only difference is the 9 of Hearts is at the top instead of at the bottom. So it really doesn't matter if you're in this situation or if you're in this situation. If the first card that you need is at the top, leave it at the top and just make sure it's spread out so that they can read it left to right. If it's at the bottom, instead of leaving it like this, just spread it this way. And I think what I was getting at is in the performance, I might have had it right to left by mistake because I was reading it my way, but it didn't really matter because I still had both cards spread the same way. So, 9 of Hearts, King of Clubs, 2 of Diamonds. 9 of Hearts, King of Clubs, 2 of Diamonds. And yeah, sure, again, if the 9 of Hearts is on the top, this is the difference now. The difference is one's on the top. This is bottom, middle, top. This is top, middle, bottom. But again, if you read it left to right, it doesn't matter. Again, no one's going to be scrutinizing that heavily. They're just seeing the fact that these are in the same order. This is amazing. People are shocked. No one cares at this point whether it's like this or I promise you, no one has a to give. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, man, that is it. I went into a lot of detail with this. I really hope you guys enjoyed this trick. It's a really, really good one. It's become another one of my favorites as of late. So I hope you guys got something useful out of this tutorial, and if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. I will answer all I can to the best of my ability. Here's some cardistry because I'm a cardist now. As you can see, I don't do cardistry at all. That was embarrassing. But anyways, that's it, man. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody. This is just a shuffled deck of cards. This cuck. What? This